School Scoop here on M6, your hometown station.
In the past years, many teachers have found field trips as a great way to entertain and educate students. Hi, I'm Tyler Gates with M6, your hometown station. Today we'll be talking to Mrs. Schweihofer, the Advanced Placement United States History or APUSH teacher, and the organizer of the brand new field trip to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. Mrs. Schweihofer, I know you've visited D.C. before. What are you most excited to share with your students?
I can't wait for my students to experience in real time some of the most important monuments and museums and battlefields in our nation's history, and to really get to live out the history that we've been learning about all year long.
What was the most surprising part of organizing the trip?
I would say the most surprising part was how much we could fit into a 4-day trip, and I was amazed and also still thrilled that we could do so many things and visit so many different places, including all 3 of the central buildings for our federal government, the Supreme Court building, the White House, and the U.S. Capitol.
Did anything come up that you hadn't anticipated dealing with?
The only thing that I did not anticipate was having FBI background checks for all of the adults if we are able to get into the White House, which makes perfect sense to me, but it's just something that I was surprised by. So it just accelerated the process that I had to go through to contact chaperones and make sure that I gathered their information, like social security numbers, to make sure that anybody over 18 had a background check before we got in.
Are there any fun things you have planned for the trip?
I think the most exciting thing that I'm looking forward to is just having the opportunity to tour some of the battlefields, and I think that the students will enjoy seeing that, and I think that they'll have a really big impact on their perception of what sacrifices that our soldiers have made. So I know that on my recent trip to DC, I was really moved by the changing of the guard at Arlington National Cemetery, and I think that that's something, I don't know if fun is the best word for it, but I think it's something that I think my students will remember for years after they've left DC.
What do you hope your students will remember from the trip?
I think what I want them to remember most is that history is a process. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and the United States of America also took a lot of contributions by people from all different walks of life, and that there's a lot of ordinary people who did really extraordinary things to make the country the way that it is. So when we look at the great leaders, and we look at their monuments, and we look at the people who run government today and in the past, I just want them to remember and hopefully be inspired by that, and just think about how history has shaped the country and who we are as a nation today.
Thank you so much for answering some questions, Mrs. Schweihofer. The D.C. trip looks like a sure hit with the students, especially going to the White House. This is Tyler Gates with M6, signing off.